Hello guys, welcome to my channel. In this video we're going to learn about one of the great oldest structure in Italy and famous 4-degree leaning tower, and that is Tower of Pisa. The Leaning Tower of Pisa, or simply Tower of Pisa, is a campanile or freestanding bell tower of the Cathedral of the Italian city of Pisa, known worldwide for its nearly 4-degree lean, the result of the unstable foundation. The tower is situated behind the Pisa Cathedral and is the third oldest structure in the city's cathedral square after Cathedral and the Pisa Baptistery. The tower's tilt began during construction in the 12th century due to soft ground on the one side, which was unable to properly support the structure's weight. The tilt increased in the decades before the structure was completed in 14th century. It gradually increased until the structure was stabilized by efforts in the late 20th century and early 21st centuries. The height of the tower is 55.86 meters from the ground on the low side and 56.67 meters on the high side. The width of the walls at the base is 2.44 meters. Its weight is estimated at 14,500 metric tons. The tower has 296 or 294 steps. The 7th floor has 2 fewer steps on the north-facing staircase. In 1990, the tower leaned at the angle of 5.5 degrees, but following remedial work between 1993 and 2001, this was reduced to 3.97 degrees, reducing the overhang by 45 centimeters, the cost of the £200 million. It lost a further 4 centimeters of tilt in the 2 decades to 2018. There has been controversy about the real identity of the architect of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. For many years, the design was attributed to Guglielmo and Bonanno Pisano, a well-known 12th century resident artist of Pisa, known for his bronze casting, particularly in the Piazza del Duomo. Pisano left Pisa in 1185 for Monreale, Sicily, only to come back and die in his hometown. A piece of cast bearing his name was discovered at the foot of the tower in 1820, but this may be related to the bronze door in the facade of the cathedral that was destroyed in 1595. A 2001 study seems to indicate Salvi was the original architect due to time of the construction and affinity with the other Salvi works, notable the bell tower of the San Nicola and Baptistery, both in Pisa. Construction of the tower occurred in the 3 stages over 199 years. Work on the ground floor of the white marble campanile began on August 14, 1173, during a period of the military success and prosperity. The tower began to sink after construction had progressed in the 2nd floor in 1178. This was due to mere 3-meter foundation set in weak and stable subsoil, a design that was flawed from the beginning. Construction was subsequently halted for almost a century because of the Republic of the Pisa was almost continually engaged in battles with Genoa, Lucca and Florence. This allowed time for underlying soil to settle, otherwise the tower will almost certainly have toppled. In 1272, construction resumed under Giovanni di Simone, architect of the Camposanto. In an effort to compensate for the tilt, the engineers built upper floors with one side taller than the other. Because of this, the tower is curved. Construction was halted again in 1284 when the Pisans were defeated by the Genoans in the Battle of the Meloria. The seventh floor was completed in 1319. The bell chamber was finally added in 1372. It was built by Tommaso di Andrea Pisano, who succeeded in harmonizing in the Gothic elements of the bell chamber with Romanic style of the tower. There are 7 bells, one for each note of the musical major scale. The largest one was installed in 1655. After a phase 1990 to 2001 of structural strengthening, the tower is currently undergoing the gradual surface restoration in order to repair visible damage, mostly corrosion and blackening. These are particularly pronounced due to the tower's age and its exposure to wind and rain. On January 5, 1172, Donna Berta di Bernardo, a widow and resident of the house of dell'Opera di Santa Maria, bequeathed the 60 soldi to Opera Campanile's Petrarum Sancti Maria. The sum was then used toward the purchase of the 5 stones which is still form of the base of the bell tower. On August 9, 1173, the foundations of the tower were laid. On December 27, 1233, the worker Bennato, son of the Gherardo Bottici, oversaw the continuation of the construction of the bell tower. On February 23, 1260, Guido Spezialo, son of the Giovanni, a worker on the Cathedral Santa Maria Maggiore, was elected to oversee the building of the tower. On April 12, 1264, the master builder Giovanni di Simone and 23 workers went to the mountains close to Pisa to cut marble. The cut stones were given to Rainaldo Speziala, worker of the Saint Francisco. Giorgio Vasari indicated that Tommaso di Andrea Pisano was the designer of the belfry between 1360 and 1370. One possibly known builder of the Pisa Tower was Gherardo di Gherardo. His name appears as a witness to a bold legacy of the Berta di Bernardo as Master Gherardo, and as a worker whose name was Gherardo. A more probable builder was Diosalvi because of the construction period and structure's affinities with other buildings in Pisa, but he usually signed his works and there is no signature by him in the bell tower. Giovanni di Simone was known to be heavily involved in the completion of the tower under the direction of the Giovanni Pisano, who at the time was master builder of the Opera di Santa Maria Maggiore. Di Simone could be the same Giovanni Pisano who completed the belfry tower. Galileo Galilei is said to have dropped 2 cannonballs of the different masses from the tower to demonstrate that their speed of descent was independent of their mass. However, the only primary source for this is the historical account of the life of Galileo Galilei, written by Galileo's secretary Vincenzo Viviani and published in 1717, long after Viviani's death. During World War II, the Allies suspected that the Germans were using the tower as an observation post, and US Army sergeants sent to confirm the presence of the German troops in the tower was impressed by the beauty of the cathedral and its campanile, and thus refrained from ordering an artillery strike, sparing it from destruction. Numerous efforts have been made to restore the tower to vertical orientation, or at least keep it from falling over. Most of these efforts failed. Some worsened the tilt. On February 27, 1964, the government of Italy recused its aid in preventing the tower from toppling. It was, however, considered important to retain the current tilt due to the role that this element played in promoting the tourism industry of Pisa. A multinational task force of the engineers, mathematicians, and historians gathered on the Azores Island to discuss stabilization methods. It was found that tilt was increasing in combination with the softer foundations on the lower side. Many methods were proposed to stabilize the tower, including addition of the 800 tons of lead counterweights to the raised end of the base. The tower and neighboring cathedral, Baptistery, and cemetery are included in the Piazza del Duomo UNESCO World Heritage Site, which was declared in 1987. The tower was closed to the public on January 7, 1990, after more than 2 decades of stabilization studies and spurred by a abrupt collapse of the Civic Tower of Pavia in 1989. The bells were removed to relieve some weight, and cables were cinched around the third level and anchored several hundred meters away. Apartments and houses in the path of the tower were vacated for safety. The solution chosen to prevent the collapse of the tower was to slightly strain it into the safer angle by removing 38 cubic meters of soil from underneath the raised end. The tower was strained by 45 centimeters, returning it to 1838 position. After a decade of corrective reconstruction and stabilization efforts, the tower was reopened to the public on December 15, 2001, and was declared as stable for at least another 300 years. In total, 70 metric tons of earth were removed. In May 2008, engineers announced that the tower had been stabilized, such as that it had stopped moving for the first time in its history. They stated that it would be stable for at least 200 years. At least 4 strong earthquakes hit the region since 1280, but a currently vulnerable tower survived. The reason was not understood until the research group of the 16 engineers investigated. The researchers concluded that the tower was able to withstand tremors because of the dynamic soil-structure interaction. The height and stiffness of the tower, together with the softness of the foundation soil, influences the vibrational characteristics of the structure in such a way that the tower does not resonate with the earthquake ground motion. The same soft soil that caused leaning and brought the tower to the verge of the collapse helped it survive. Height from the ground floor 55.863 meters and 8 stories. Height from foundation floor is 58.36 meters. Outer diameter of base is 15.484 meters. Inner diameter of base is 7.368 meters. angle of slant is 3.97 degrees or 3.9 meters from the vertical. Weight is 14,700 metric tons. Thickness of walls at the base is 2.44 meters. Total number of bells is 7, tuned to musical scale clockwise. Number of the steps to the top is 296. Today, over 1 million tourists visit the Leaning Tower of Pisa each year. It is an important monument for the city of Pisa, as well as the important reminder to the engineering difficulties engineers and architects had to account for when building the beautiful buildings of the past.
Perfect.
Perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118,